Hey everybody, happy Monday. I'm just gonna give it a sec to make sure I'm live. So if you guys are just popping on, just say hey, where you're watching from. Let me know that you can see me. I'm actually checking the page now just to make sure. So far it doesn't look like it's coming up yet. Oh hey, so here we go. I do see one person on. So I do know I'm live now. Fantastic. I am Stacy, and just to let you guys know ahead of time, I'm a little bit sick. I had to cancel last week's live, and I'm just getting over RSV, bronchitis, and sinus infection. So just bear with me here in case my voice goes. I've got my Kleenex, so I'm all set. But thanks for joining tonight. Again, I'm Stacy. I'm the owner and artist of New Creations by Stacy. I am an elite retailer here in Ardmore, Alabama at the Rustic Willow. And then, of course, I still have my location in Madison, Alabama as well. So thank you guys again. We've got Dixie Belle here tonight. They are going to help answer any questions. And if I do, hey, Wanda. Oh, I'm so glad to see you on here. Thank you. All right, so Dixie Belle's here, though. They can help answer any questions. If I miss anything, I will go back and comment on them after the live. And we'll go ahead and get started. I'm pretty sure. Oh, yeah, I have my affiliate link listed if you want to order any products online that you see us using tonight. Also, you can find your local retailer. If you click that link in the top left-hand corner, it'll say find your retailer. You put your zip code in and you can find someone close to you. And if you guys are a retailer online watching tonight, post your store and where you're watching from. So if anybody's in your area, they can find you. Hey, Sharon. Hey, Gina. So like I said, we will go ahead and get started. We were supposed to be working on a dresser with the tile decoupage paper and everything. But since I was sick, I'm a little bit behind, and there is a new baby coming on the 10th of August, so I definitely need to get this chest of drawers done. Hey, Jerry. Oh, from Portage, Wisconsin. All right, so... All right, and like I said, I'll try to watch the comments, but I might miss a few, but I will go back. Hey, North Carolina, Mary from North Carolina. But just to give you an idea of what we're going to do, I called it an ombre blend up, but we're actually just doing a very fine line, a very soft fine line. If I was doing a true ombre blend, I would probably have about this much space where the color transitioning comes together. But we're going to be doing some silk screen stencils tonight. Hopefully I can get to that, which is actually going to go all the way around this border. That tea rose is going to come up. So I'm just going to show you guys how we're going to do this softening blend here. And then we're going to do some stripes with the Pearlescent Glaze, which is a little bit different. And then we're going to work in a couple areas with the glaze as well. I've got a few different ones out. It just depends on how much time we have, but this painting part won't take so long. Oh, hey, I see there. Hey, from Australia, Leanne. All right, so tonight we're actually going to be I hate to call it a blend because it's not a true complete transition. It's just a very soft line. You can kind of see the difference between here and over here, how it's just really hard. But we're going to be using Fluff. And I do have 2 coats of Fluff already on the top just because it is a white, so it takes a little bit more to cover. We're going to put the 3rd coat on. And then we're also going to be using Tea Rose, which is the bottom. It's this beautiful pink color. It's kind of like the Conkin Silk if you're going for all one color. Actually would have used silk if I wasn't going to do this soft transition. But great for one color. But Tea Rose, we're going to do this on the bottom. The Tea Rose is a little bit darker, so I do only have 1 coat on the bottom. So we're going to be putting the 2nd coat on the bottom. Yes, frog tape. Frog tape. So frog tape to me is the best. I do have like the blue clean release, which I use that painter's tape for other things. But I do find sometimes I get some issues with that blue tape. and the paint, especially if I'm going right back to back right as soon as it dries. So I do prefer the frog tape. I also have a little less bleed under it, seems like, with the frog tape. A little more expensive though. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So tonight, to apply the paint, I'm going to be using 2 oval mediums. This one is for the fluff, well, for the fluff and for the tea rose here. And then I'm going to be my favorite blending brush. I'm going to be using the mini just to soften that line together. And sorry, you guys, I've got my Gatorade too, just to keep my voice going. I'm a little bit slower tonight than usual. All right, so I have quit painting out of my jars. If you've been watching my lives before, I used to always paint out of my jars, but I'm trying to transition everything over to the FIFO bottles, and for the ones I do still have in jars, I'm no longer painting out of, just because you can see how chunky it gets, and sometimes that can affect your finish as well. I mean, there's ways to fix that, but it's just, I found finally that it's really just easier not to paint out of the jars. So I've got a paper plate here, and I've already stirred these paints up as well because I've been using them. So normally you'd want to stir that up though. And then I've got my fluff here. Just going to shake that up a little bit. Doesn't take a lot. A little bit of this paint goes a long way. And of course, I'm going to be using my mister bottle as well. So the last section I'm going to do is where I'm going to do the soft blend. So we're just going to quickly go ahead and mist that down a little bit and apply the fluff for the coverage on the top section here. And you can see I'm not using that much paint. My brush is a little bit damp. And that's because on this piece I've got quite a bit of wood grain, and especially with this, I want to, because of course I'm doing that soft line, but I also want to make sure that the paint sinks into all of these wood grain grooves here. So right now I'm just finishing up the coverage here. And I'm just bringing it really nice and close up to the line, but that's actually the last section I'll do here. So now we're just going to come up with the tea rose. Same thing, not a whole lot of paint here. There we go. And I'm just going to come up from the bottom. I didn't miss my piece on the bottom here, but I'm going to go ahead and do that. And the reason I'm using a mister, because I'm just going one flat color here, not only just to get in the wood grain, but when you're doing that second coat especially, it just allows your paintbrush to glide over that first coat. In addition to that, when you use the mister bottle, your paint goes further, and you're going to get a smoother coat, meaning less brush strokes, all of that good stuff. I'm going to go ahead and wet it down just a little bit more. So the CMP, or chalk mineral paint, it is a self-leveling paint. So it's going to already give itself to minimizing all those brush strokes. But using a really good synthetic brush like this oval medium makes a big difference as well. If I was using, say, like these are synthetic brushes, but if I was doing this, say with like a premium chip brush or a natural bristle brush, my paint really would not go on as smoothly, and I would probably have a little bit of texture with the brush strokes. So that's the brush, a good brush, and the mister bottle, along with the fact that it's a self-leveling paint, all helps to minimize the brush strokes. which I want this piece to, I want it to look a little bit more elegant. It's not going to be rustic. This is actually my backdrop, and so are the stripes. I've got some other things I'm going to be doing on here, kind of some accessorizing, I guess you could call it. And I'll come back and look at the comments here in a sec. I can't quite see them. I'm just getting in here, making sure those grooves are covered, getting in all the wood grain. This is just my second coat here, so I've got to pay a little bit more attention to that than I was on the top with the wood grain. But the coverage looks fantastic. So now we're going to go ahead, and I'm going to miss this section where we're going to soften the line and we're going to add the paint on. So first of all, normally when I blend, I'm overlapping my paint because I just want this to be a soft line and I want it to be fairly thin. I'm going to try not to overlap at all. Of course, that's just going to happen probably a little bit, but now we're going to come back in with the fluff. And we're going to go straight across here, try not to overlap. One of the reasons I don't want to overlap too is I don't want to bring any of the paint too far up here. So now I've got the paint on. I'm going to take my mini. So normally when you see me blend, you see me go like this and really pull those colors together. That's not what I want to do in this situation. Like I said, I just want to soften this line. So I want to keep my brush level this way. And I'm just going to come through and I'm going to kind of go in little circles to pull my paint together. And that thin line. I'm going to come around to the front a little bit. Came a little farther up than I wanted to there, but that's okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and wipe my brush off. You can see it's really thin there where I've mixed them. And I want to make sure all of this is off because I don't want to bring that pink into the white. I'm going to go ahead and soften that up now. Just by going horizontally. I don't want to go in any other direction because I don't want to actually pull my paint any more together. So now I have that nice soft line. I am going to I came around to the front, which is already done a little bit. It's not really a big deal just because I'm going to be doing a stencil over all of this. So the only part of this soft line that's really going to be showing is in the areas where the stencil, the background, where the stencil like kind of has the holes and shows through. And that's where you'll see that soft blend. So hopefully we get to that part tonight, but that's it. And that just creates that nice soft line. And you'll see once we get to the stencils why that's important. It wouldn't look as well if I left that line really hard because that would show through. So normally I put my brushes in a plastic bag to keep them, but that's one thing I forgot to grab tonight. So I'm just going to go ahead and wet them down so that they stay good until I can get to wash them. I'm just misting them with my mister. So that didn't take us long. Oh, hopefully you guys are still there. I think I just lost internet connection, but I'm still showing viewers. So, all right. Yep. So I think I'm still live here. Perfect. Yes, so Thelma asked if I use the oval brush for painting large areas. I do. It's a personal preference, and I'm probably in the minority here, but I do not like painting with a flat brush. I don't know. I feel like it doesn't hold my paint the same, and it doesn't go on the same for me. So I always like a round or an oval brush for painting. And then I love my flat brushes though for blending. The ovals just don't blend as well for me necessarily, unless I'm going for like Old World or something. Just kind of depends. Oh, thanks, Nancy. She said we see you. Oh, all right. All right, perfect. I see Amber on there too. Thank you, guys. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and do some stripes. And I did see the question earlier, we are using frog tape. That's just my preference, but it's, you know, everybody has a different opinion there. So I don't see any more comments. I'm just trying to make sure I didn't miss anything. Let's see. So for the stripes, I went ahead and I've got most of these on, but I left these over here just in case you've not done stripes before, and I'm going to actually bring you guys in. So that way you can see how you kind of set it up. I'm going to bring you in so you can kind of see this close up. And I'm so happy. I was worried. I've got you on an angle too because I was worried you weren't going to be able to see these super subtle stripes. This is actually done with a pearlescent glaze, and that's what we're going to be working with tonight. I also spilled it and glazed my Birkenstocks today. But let me bring you in so you can get a good view here and really see what we've got going on. I'm going to try to keep you at that angle. Let me see if I can drop you down a little bit. I'm going to try to keep you at that angle so you can see the stripes. Sometimes metallics or little pearlescent, stuff like that is difficult to see. So to space out your stripes, I've got some guiding tape here, just 2 little pieces. And I'm going to go ahead and, sorry guys, I'm a little shaky too. Today's like really the first day I've been feeling a little better and have been up. So just going to go ahead and lay those down so you get a nice straight line. You don't have to measure everything out. And then I can lose anything on a live. I just lost my tape. So then we're just going to take this piece here, the long piece, and we're going to set it so we get that straight line. I'm also trying to line up my stripes with what I've got going on here on the second drawer too. So once you get that on, just press it down and there you go. And you just keep going until we're done. So I've only got a couple more to put on. It shouldn't take me too long here. And I'm actually going to go with these stripes all the way around the sides too. You know, I prepped this piece when I was sick, and I actually put the wings on upside down. Hopefully it's not too noticeable. I said I told myself I wasn't going to tell anyone while I was on here, but, you know, I just kind of looked at them out of the corner of my eye, and it's driving me crazy now that I know I did it. All right, so one last piece of tape here. So normally too, before I glaze, I almost always put on a satin clear coat or some kind of clear coat, whether it's flat, gloss, satin. I just normally use satin. But I normally put on a clear coat so that when I put the glaze on, I can wipe it back. I have a lot more control. But this is one of those rare occasions where I want the glaze to really sink into the paint and I don't want to manipulate it. I'm not going to wipe it back or anything like that. So I have not put a coat of protectant on before we're going to do this particular process with the glaze. Just make sure I've got this one straight and lined up on the edge. Yep, perfect. So this does not have a protectant on it first. This is going to go straight onto the paint. The chalk mineral paint is super porous, so it's going to sink right in. Now, if this was silk, it would still slide right over it. And I really want to make that distinction because the way that we're going to apply it, you are going to want to do this directly onto paint so that it sinks in and it sticks. Hey. Hey, Stephanie. Oh, yep, I just saw that. I think that's, oh, sorry, I was up too far in the comments. I keep seeing the same question about the frog tape. All right, so I don't know, have you guys used our glazes before? We have a ton of them. We have like copper and we have Hi-O silver, of course the regular colors, white, black, brown. You can also tint glazes with paint. So like the pearlescent is great if you want to, like I could tint it with tea rose here and I could make a beautiful pink color. Of course, we have the rosé and moonshine metallics that you could do this with as well if you were going to be doing it over pink. But, all right, so this takes very little glaze. Like I said, I spilled this earlier, so I'm trying to be extra careful. If you guys can see, let me kind of show you what the pearlescent looks like. You can see it's just got a really nice shimmer to it. You can see they're very, very subtle stripes. So I'm going to set this off to the side. This takes so little. I'm actually just going to be using what we have in the cap here. Oh yeah, the pearlescent is gorgeous. I love, love, love it. And it's perfect for tinting too. It doesn't, so like if you tint the white, it'll actually add some white and lighten up your color. The pearlescent to me doesn't seem to do that as much if you tint it. We don't have like the clear glaze that you just is made for tinting, but this works just the same. I'm actually gonna, normally I use a brush to apply my glaze, but I'm actually gonna be using our blue spongy in this case to apply the glaze. I forget to wash these out a lot, so I had to open up a new one. I'm really bad about that in my brushes. So I'm actually just using very, very little, that might even be a little bit more than I wanted, to do this. And we're gonna come over here. I wanna make sure you guys can see, there we go. And I'm just gonna start at the top. So I'm kind of rubbing down a couple times just to get it, the glaze kind of spread out a little bit. And then I'm just going in one direction with it. And I'm doing that because otherwise it'll get a little bit, potentially a little bit streaky looking. And you can't even tell that I'm doing it, but once I pull back the tape here, you'll be able to see. So again, very little glaze, just starting at the top, bringing it down, and I'm kind of lifting off because I didn't tape off the bottom, but I don't want it to go past that, you know, past this drawer. I don't want it to, and I can go across it with my finger. Earlier when I did this, I kind of blended it down with my finger. So again, nothing at all, hardly, and just wipe it down. So this is a super easy process. Just making sure that I have good coverage and it's in a straight line. It kind of works a lot like the moonshine metallics though. You know, you go in one direction with that metallic, and they say it's because the metallics, the pigment or whatever, I guess will flip. I don't know if that's really the reason, but that's what I've heard. And that's why you kind of get that a little bit of a streaky look if you go in multiple directions. Well, the same thing is true with this pearlescent glaze. So if you kind of keep it going in one direction, I just want to smooth it out, you will have less of those kind of streaky looking areas. And again, this glaze is sinking right into the paint. So you can do this with glaze. You can also tint like a clear coat, and you can do or you don't even have to tint a clear coat. You could do, so like if you were gonna protect this in flat, I could use like a satin clear coat for the stripes, but I want this pearly look. So that's why I decided to go with this pearl glaze or pearlescent glaze. And it doesn't take much at all. So this drawer is actually split into two sections. So I'm trying to be a little bit careful because this tape right here actually has nothing under it. So we're just pulling that down. And kind of have to look at it at an angle just to make sure kind of where I'm at. I had quite a bit on it that time, so I just kind of pulled it over. So again, if you're just watching here, I'm going to wipe that off even a little bit more. Very, very little. Oh, did that one already. And just pull it down. Nice and straight. And the reason you don't want to use a lot of the glaze is much thinner than a paint. When you're doing these stripes, you don't want it to leak under the tape. You want to kind of have a more clear line. I've got to just get a tiny, tiny bit more of this glaze. So you can see it goes a long, long ways. This is just a 4-ounce container I have here. Just a little bit more. We've just got one more to do, and then we'll take this off so you guys can kind of see how that turned out. I'm so glad you can see it on camera. I was worried that it wasn't actually going to be visible because it is just so subtle. Perfect. All right, so we've got all that on. So if you're doing, well, let me put away my glaze right quick. If you are doing stripes and you're doing it with paint, it's really good to remove the tape while it's still wet, so you don't, like, it doesn't dry and then you get a chippy that kind of comes off the other side, or something like that. So the same kind of applies to the glaze. I mean, this is so subtle, I don't think it would really matter, but we're going to go ahead and pull the tape up, though, so you can kind of see how it looks and how subtle those stripes are. But I mean, it has such a nice, clean line. Doing it with the sponge, it just makes it so easy and quick. So we're just gonna keep going. Yeah, it's really kind of hard to see on here because of the way the lights shine in, but I'll try to bring you guys around a little bit. It's also creating a glare because it's still a little bit wet. It's going to look just like this down here. There we go. So you can see where this drawer splits here. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to use the Hi-Ho Silver glaze or if I'm going to go with like a grunge gray wax. Might be a little bit of both. There we go. Yeah, so over here, you're starting to be able to see the stripes a little bit more. That spotlight is shining right here. Oh, thanks, Nancy. Yeah, so Nancy said she could see them. Perfect. Let's see here. So very subtle. I love this. I've got some stuff that I'm going to be putting over here and painting on. So this is just going to be a beautiful black backdrop for it. There we go. All right, perfect. So now we've got those stripes on. We are going to do a little silkscreen stencil. We've got about 15 minutes. So my idea is to break this line up, like I said, all the way across with stencils and bring that tea rose up. So I've got a couple out here. And I'm not 100% solidified as far as how I want to lay this out, but I kind of have a general idea. Oh, thanks, Angie. I love how it's so subtle. It's just not overwhelming. Hey, Nicole, I do have a transfer video. I have a few of them. You can actually, in the description, you can click on the link to my Facebook page. And I have some in the timeline, but there's also a link to my website, and you can click on watch tutorials, and then they're all in one place. I'm actually still loading some, but I do have several stencil ones on there. Or stencil transfer ones, sorry. My words are just all mixed up. Hey, so what we're gonna do, and I think what I wanna do is bring the roses around here. Kind of and frame out the sides a little bit. And then I'm gonna run, I've got, like I said, I've got the butterflies. So these are the stencils, let me show you. So I've got butterflies and I've got roses. These are two of the new ones, the new release ones. And I'm gonna kind of combine these. Oh, I even have, in here I even have the, what is this one? This one was called Floral. This was the first release for the Silkstream stencils. And I might mix some of that one in, but I think I'm gonna start with these. And then look at these gorgeous butterflies. I think I'm gonna have some of these flying up. I think that'll be really pretty. Pass them up at the video. Oh, thanks, Heather. That was so sweet. So, I mean, you can see everything that's on here. That's really nice to hear. Thank you, Heather, because I am not feeling good today and I feel so off. But I think I'm going to use some of these roses, too, that run across. But this is going to go all the way around the sides and all the way back over. So, you do not have to cut up your stencils to do this. Thank you, Julie. Oh, hey, Julie. I didn't even see you on here. So I'm going to go ahead and cut these up because for me, it's hard to visualize my design when I'm putting this on here with a whole lot of other stuff. So I like to cut out what I'm going to be using and then manipulate it from there. But like, I don't have to cut this. I could put this on here and like, I don't want this. I could just put a piece of tape over that where it's close. But like I said, I cut mine up. It's definitely a preference, and not everyone likes to mutilate their stencils like I do. I even cut the Mylar ones, though. I'm terrible. All right. So we are going to go. Let's go ahead and take this out. So where it's pink on pink, it'll show up a little bit because it'll almost look a little bit raised. So I'm not worried about that. And then it's going to kind of come out. The idea is it's going to kind of come out of this pink. So I just want to, I'm going to line this up with the drawer edge here. Just a little bit shaky. So let's see, here we go. There we go. So I think you guys can probably see this is going to be on peak, this part down here, and then this will be all lined up. And then where it's this purple section, that's where you'll see that fade in the background. I know I'm kind of in the corner. Let me come over a little bit. See if I can do this without losing my... Okay, there we go. So you can get a better view. Make sure I have enough time. There we are. So the stencils come with this little squeegee. Oh, hey, Jill. She cuts her stencils too. You know, it just helps me see the design. Like, I just can't see it when there's a whole other section over here. And it's just, I don't know, visually it messes with me. But they come with this little thing that you can smooth your stencil out with. So I do use these, but I also tend to apply my paint with a brush. This is just a natural bristle art brush, and it's a little bit wet, which I don't like for stencils. You do normally want it dry, but I washed it earlier. So I'm just gonna kind of flick it across my pants and dry it off a little bit. So if you are concerned, like, and I'll do it right here, that, let's use this tape up here. See how close my stencil comes to the edge, and you don't want to get paint over the edge? And this is the same thing you would do if you left your stencil all in one piece. You just put some tape down there, and then that's going to take care of it for you. Most of the time I don't do this, but that is a little close right there. And I'm not 100% today, so I probably just need to do this all the way around, to be honest. So these, and by the way, just to give you a little background, while silkscreen stencils are good for 10 uses, care of them is really going to determine really how many uses you get out of them. I never want to throw anything away, so I use them until the end of time, until I just can't anymore. I don't care if they're sticky or not. I mean, there's things to resolve that, but usually I just tape them down. I'm doing this right now because I'm just not so steady today anyway, so I really don't want to get... And normally, too, I would have this protected before I stenciled, which means that if and this is why I would also never tape down, I would normally have it protected. And so then if I stenciled over, the paint got on my piece, it didn't matter because I can just take a baby wipe and wash it off. That's the beauty of having the protectant down. Oh, thank you, Dixie Bow. So we are going to use Tea Rose, which I already have some still poured out from the side that we painted. And I don't know that I do my silkscreen stenciling the same as everyone else, but this is how I do it. So I do try to keep not too much paint on my brush, and I kind of try to go around the outside a little bit and dab my paint in over the silkscreen part, almost like I would with a regular transfer. The silkscreen stencils are really nice though because they come out pretty clear, not a lot of bleed through on them. So we're just gonna put this paint on. I'm getting down into the section now. And this first one will kind of tell me how I want to do this going forward and if I need to fix anything, because I'm a little undecided if I really wanted to bring this all the way down or if I just wanted it to fade into the Tea Rose. You know what? I think I kind of just want to fade in. So I can always put this back on. I'm just going to put it here. I'm going to pull my paint down. So I didn't put any paint down along the bottom of here. I don't think I want it to stand out. I have not used mine with gilding wax, but I have used them with the mousse, and they are gorgeous. I would think you would be able to use them with the gilding wax. However, if you can, I try to use mousse. Gilding wax is oil-based, so the cleanup would be terrible. You'd have to use mineral spirits to clean it. I don't know how well that would work with the silkscreen stencil itself. Actually, maybe I should test that, and then I could give you a better answer. Dixie Belle may be able to answer that as well. I think that cleanup-wise, I probably try to avoid it, but I don't like cleaning up oil. So, all right, so for this part, we're just going to kind of drag this over. I just want to make sure that I've got it nice, and this is always my last step. Sometimes I add a little bit more paint, but just going to try to drag this over to make sure it is nice And in here, let's see, I think I might need to add a little bit more paint up here. I was kind of going thin on it because my brush was wet. This is the first time I've done this with a wet brush, so we all might learn something new today. I never do this, but this is the brush I wanted to use. And it's the one I actually brought in here, so that kind of makes a difference too. All right, so we've got that on. Now let's go ahead and take this off. And back to the cleanup. So this is water-based, so you just clean up with soap and water. And then once you clean it off, you just lay it with the sticky side up, like on a paper towel or something like that, and let it dry. Without cleaning in between, like I could use this back to back though and not have it clog up. So let's see. Well, actually I'm just gonna take that piece of tape off along with the stencil. So here we go. Oh, I'm loving it. Oh, and I'm glad I made the decision to fade it down. So you guys will see I still didn't get this off. Hold on just a sec here. Let me lay that down. And let me just get something to get under here and get that off with. Let me use this. I just want to get under my tape and not scratch anything up. So perfect. So again, we're going to come all the way across with this. It's kind of hard to see on camera, but let me bring you in a little bit closer. We're coming to time anyway, so I think that's probably the only one that I'm going to get to do on here. Give me just a sec here. So let me just bring you in though so you can really see how that looks. And pop it down so you can get that close up. So it really looks better in person. I'm not liking it as well on the thing. Let me see if I can bring you directly in and actually show you how that looks. There we go. So you can see how it fades down to the bottom. And all I did to get that fade out, I just didn't go all the way to the bottom with my paint. I just pulled that little squeegee down. So you can really see how those stripes turned out and so forth. So this one I need to have finished by this weekend. I have lots of pieces, by the way, that I have to stage this week. I've literally been sick all month. So my granddaughter's like a petri dish, but we're going to get through it. So anyway, I've got a lot of pictures coming this week that I'll be posting as well from the previous videos this month. But thank you guys so much for hanging out. If you think of any questions, you're welcome to message me on my page. Just like and follow me there. If you think that this video would be helpful to anyone, please share it with them. And you guys have a great night and take care. Thanks. Bye-bye.